car, throw my bike off, and then run it over. That's how I'm late. Where's the car? I don't have it.
That is my score.
We can all get what we need from this situation. What do you want?
The Coke.
The money.
Long-term partnership.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Bring him down, boys. Bring him down.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun are you having right now?
Manuel, Jeff in Las Vegas. Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing well, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I watched First Date, and I have to admit, I was surprised. It was very dark. Because I grew up, in the 80s and the 90s, and I Mystery Date with Ethan Hawke or License to Drive, with Corey Feldman. So I thought, oh, First Date, it's going to be, Michael's going to have this incredible evening, and it's going to be lighthearted and fun and some suspense. No, but I like that. I have a dark sense of humor. So as soon as I realized that this was going to get dark, I totally changed my attitude. So is that how you intended the movie to be in the end? Was that heavy?
Yeah, actually. And I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of the fun, darkly humorous things about it. The title and, the setup, it doesn't betray how wrong things are going to go. And I love collisions of tone and mashups of genres, and just that feeling that you just don't know what you're in for. And so when we realized we were combining a high school date movie with a dark kind of messed up crime story that would have real stakes to it because bad things happen, I was so excited. I can't even tell you. It was just I was just so pumped to make that movie happen, and I love when movies can take you on an emotional roller coaster, and the spectrum of human emotion is so vast. When movies will make you laugh and then make you shocked and maybe make you cry or really feel something and then be afraid, all in the same package. It seems like it's a little more far between these days, but when I find a movie like that, oh man, I'm all over it. So Darren and myself, we just wanted to make something in that vein, and we're so stoked to come out with this.
And tell me about casting Tyson Brown as Mike. Tell me about the search for him, because he carries the whole movie.
He really does, and not only that, with minimal dialogue too. So
I was going to say that. I'm an hour into the movie, and I'm like, this kid has only said maybe 3 or 4 words the entire movie. He uses his looks and his reactions, though. I'm thinking, say something, do something, but he just seems like he's just like his dating world. He's just terrified to do anything.
Right, exactly. So it was finding someone who could capture the essence of that character, someone who gets paralyzed by fear, doesn't believe in themselves and has a difficulty acting in the moment when it's needed for him to earn his end of his journey. You had to have someone who could really portray that beginning very strongly and really wear it on their face, say a lot with their face. And that's the big challenge, because a lot of younger actors who are just starting out possibly think it's more about the dialogue, which dialogue is important. But when we came across Tyson's tape, he started out by apologizing because he didn't have anyone to read the lines with him. So he was just going to pretend. And it was clear that he had never really been in a movie before, and a feature film, and hadn't done very many auditions. And he was just so sincere. And I was sold before he even started going off of the sides for his audition. So and then once we put him together with Shelby in a screen test, the chemistry that the two of them had was instant. We could see it, we could feel it in the room. I could feel it while editing that screen test together, and that's how we knew.
Yeah, Tyson has an innocence that comes across the screen.
Yeah, he really does.
Very naive and innocent,
Yeah, and he's probably the one innocent character in the entire movie, so it was important for him to be that. While all this chaos and these horrible people are mostly horrible people are orbiting around him, he had to just keep that naivete, until he gets to the end, but keep his moral center and to hang on to that, in the face of everything.
And one of the stars of the movie is the car. Tell me how you found that car and how you chose that car.
Well, we found the car on Craigslist, just like he did in the movie. And we had known we had wanted a late 60s, early 70s car, something that would reasonably have an 8-track player in it, since that was a very short era of music
Thank
technology.
God.
Right.
I was at the tail end of that. We came into cassettes when I was in high school, so thank God.
Right. But it was tough because it had to be a classic car, but it couldn't be a cool classic car. It had to be more like a grandma's car that also had a certain beauty to it the longer you looked at it, and had more to it than met the initial eye. So it had to be run down, but just the right amount, and it just had all these things, and we really lucked out. And so we wanted to shoot it that way. We wanted it to feel like Mike, in a sense, a character that upon first glance you vastly underestimate, but then the more time you spend with it and the more you learn the ins and outs of it, you see, wow, this car is really awesome. I mean, that thing drove so smooth. I can't even tell you. I was new to driving classic cars, and the ride on that thing was so nice. And it had a really powerful engine under the hood, more than you'd think, and it just handled super well. And so we wanted to come across in the film the closer he got to the car. So.
Well, I've interviewed directors before who had cars front and center as characters in their movies, and they said for insurance reasons they needed more of the same car. I never understood that. So did you have more than one of those cars, or was that your only one?
In low budget filmmaking, I don't know if that rule applies. We were lucky to find one, and it did have a lot of technical problems. It broke down quite a few times. There's a part in the movie where it stalls out in the middle of the street and then gets jumped. That was not planned. That just happened. We were filming the shot and we went with it. We were lucky to get the one car. Unfortunately, we had a very skilled mechanic on the crew, and she would repair the thing all the time. And so we actually ended the shoot with a car that ran better than what we started with. But, we just had to work with what we had and make it happen. And I don't know how we would have found another car like that. It was really one in a million.
It was funny. The character of Tyson, character of Mike, is that it's nothing like your typical teen movie, because in every teen movie, they break all the rules. They drink, they smoke marijuana. At the very beginning of the movie, the parents are heading to Vegas, right? Thank you. And they're like, you can have a party. Oh, there's condoms up there if you need it. So it's like Tyson, he can't even make Mike a bad, rebellious teenager. And everything that happens to him isn't because it's his fault. It just surrounds him. So I thought that was so unusual that we have a teen date comedy, whatever you want to call this, and he can't even be that stereotypical teen because he's got hit parents.
Yeah. And that's part of that, I think, probably came from my own teenage years. I was kind of a straight-laced kid and followed the rules and was very shy and all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun kind of flipping the expectation. And his friends are putting a lot of pressure on him to be that person, but that's just not who he really is. He's just a good-hearted kid, and becoming comfortable with who he is by the end of the movie is a big part of his journey as well. So it was a lot of fun to kind of flip the expectation a little bit on that.
And where did you shoot the film? What was the setting?
We shot it in Valley Springs, California, which is actually where both Darren and I grew up. Darren still lives there, so it's a town we know like the back of our hand, and that was a big part in the way that we were even able to put the production together, knowing what locations we could shoot at, people who could help us out with things. And a lot of the houses we filmed in were just our friends' houses in the area. That Darla's house with all the cats and crazy wallpaper and stuff, that's just how it looked. We just walked in there and started shooting. So
all those DVDs I noticed too.
They collected DVDs because they run a thrift store where these DVDs get donated all the time. So it's just you have these strokes of luck which give your independent film a much larger feeling than what you could pull off if you had to create everything from scratch. And it's kind of a Robert Rodriguez trick, use what you got.
Oh yeah. Guerrilla filmmaking, definitely, right?
Exactly.
Well, you're known for shooting some short features. This is your first feature film. Tell me about the first shot on the first day, and what was your last shot on the last day of the film?
So the very first shot on the first day was the first shot of the movie, with Tony on the phone. And we shot that whole scene several months in advance of the rest of the movie because we were, when this thing started, we were funding it ourselves. And we're like, well, what can we shoot that's very simple and has one actor in it or limited location? Oh, let's do that. And it's a cool little kind of bottle scene that you can show people to give them a rough idea of the overall tone without giving away the story. So it's like, great, awesome cold open, let's do it. And I mean, it was so much fun looking through the camera. We're using like a different lens than we had used before. Getting the anamorphic look, which tied into so many movies we loved. And you have this awesome actor, Todd Goebel, and another cool location that just looked the way it looked, and the lighting and the vibe, everything. I was just feeling everything like this is it. Like, we're making this movie. This is going to work, and it's going to be awesome. And it's going to capture that essence of all those movies we loved that inspired this one. So that was how we started off. And then the way we ended, I think the last shot we did was actually not in the movie. It was just a shot of the car driving at night down the road, which we shot in a parking lot, so we didn't have to close the road. And the cops ended up showing up because they had gotten a call from someone. We were near a lake, and they had gotten a call from someone who thought there was a brawl going on in the parking lot. So the cops showed up, and we're like, oh, we're just filming a shot for our movie. He was all into it. He's like, oh, what's it called? Like, we can't see it. Yeah, it didn't make the cut, but front to back, filming this movie was such an awesome experience, and hanging with the cast and crew, we became like a family. And I just have so many great memories of being with those people, working on this, intimate little project, and realizing like, we're kind of living our dream right now. And if this never happens again, like, I will remember this for the rest of my life. So.
You did what most people haven't done, is complete a feature film. So congratulations on that. And I saw this at Sundance, and I tried to speak to you guys then, but you weren't available. I couldn't get a hold of you. So it took me 6 months to sit down with you about this film. So it was a great pleasure. And it comes out July 2nd in theaters on video on demand. So, Manuel, congratulations, man. Good luck, and come visit us in Las Vegas, man. We'd love to have you.
Thank you so much. I will. Really appreciate it, Jeffrey. Have a good one.